Over at the new camp, Matt, discuss.
Yeah, tough night for Newcastle. Really disappointing second half. Really, as you know, the first leg they were fantastic. Probably deserved to hang on at the end of that game. And then first half tonight they were fantastic. Really good, great performance. Carried out everything I'm sure the manager asked of them, and just come undone in the first 15 minutes of the second half. And they've been punished, and they go out of the competition, but they can go out of it with their heads held high. They've been really good throughout it. Probably exceeded expectations, if I'm honest. And I'm sure, knowing the group as I do, they will use it as fuel for the fire to continue into the big game at the weekend. But also in the future, it will be something that they use to really fuel that fire for later on down the line and try and compete at this level again.
How hard is it for a team like Newcastle getting into the Champions League and having to deal with playing so many times in the week when they're not used to it?
Yeah, it's so difficult due to the volume of games and the squad. When you're building that squad, and you see Aston Villa going through a similar process at the moment, they're building their squad, and not yet do they have the resources of Man United, Man City, Liverpool, and that's a real challenge. The travel. Asking players to play 3 times a week, travel all over the world. It's a real challenge, and something that they learnt a lot from in the first Champions League campaign. And I'm sure again in this one they'll reflect on it, learn from it, and be stronger moving forwards.
Take us inside the dressing room. What does Eddie Howe say to his boys now?
Only positivity. You see the disappointment, of course, in the body language of the guys, but they will use it, as I say, as a sort of marker where they're at. Okay, we've grown a lot in 4 years, but can we keep growing? Can we keep improving individually and collectively, and perform at the highest level? Because in the second half tonight, we've seen that there are certainly levels.
And does he need the board to back him now?
Yeah, I think it's so difficult for the board, though. I have empathy for Villa. And Newcastle. I was lucky enough to see the club grow so quickly in a short space of time, but it's so difficult with the rules now, how you can spend money, when you can spend the money. Selling Elliot Anderson's one of the best young English talents of this period of time, and people probably think, maybe Newcastle missed the trick there. Newcastle knew that. They were forced into selling an amazing prospect, and that's the difficulty really for Newcastle. You can imagine Elliot Anderson would have been a great addition for the squad today, but he couldn't be because of the rules and regulations. So that's the big challenge for Newcastle, to try and break that barrier to really become a top 4 team.
How frustrating is it when you're probably the richest club in the world and you can't spend a bean?
Yes, it must be awfully frustrating. It means that I have to think a little bit clever and outside the box. I think that they've made some good additions of late, and although there are players that at the moment there are question marks on their heads. If you look 2 years ago, there were question marks on Lewis Hall's head. All of a sudden he's the best left back in the world. So you have to take context, you have to give time, and the manager and the staff's reputation for developing players, as you know, whatever age, is very successful and very good. So I'm sure he'll do that with the guys that they've recruited already, and they'll go into the summer window with plans, I'm sure.
Liverpool, who have booked their place in the Champions League quarter-finals by beating Galatasaray 4-0 at Anfield, 4-1 on aggregate. Sue Smith has been watching all evening long. Vintage Liverpool, vintage Mo Salah.
Jess, they were absolutely brilliant from start to finish. They were outstanding, very good individually, but collectively as a team. They just didn't give... You could say Galatasaray didn't perform well, but I think Liverpool stopped them from performing. I think the way that they played off the ball, I think the way that they were so organised defensively, they pressed from the front. Every time Galatasaray tried to play the ball out, they were winning the ball back early. And it was 0-0 for a little bit, and I thought the only thing missing is a goal from Liverpool. And then we saw Szoboszlai outstanding. What a finish to start them off from a corner. And him playing in those central areas, I think, makes such a difference for Liverpool. He's such an outstanding player. Of course, he can play right back, but I just think you miss his legs and you miss his quality in the middle of the park when he doesn't play there. But yeah, Mo Salah, Could have had more, probably could have had 5 or 6 goals.
Misses a penalty, recovers from that to score an absolute worldie and mark his 50th Champions League goal.
Which is brilliant. And it was just like you said, it was just typical Mo Salah. The finish was so good. And there's a lovely little touch from Wirtz as well, who was brilliant on the night. But he picks the ball up on the right-hand side, plays the ball into Wirtz. It's just a lovely flick from him. Takes a touch out of his feet, left-footed, and just curls it into that far corner. It is just Mo Salah. When you think of Mo Salah and you think of his goals, that's exactly what you think of. But yeah, they were brilliant. And, you know, there's been a lot of criticism of late. And I think after the Spurs game, where I think quite a lot of people were saying, well, they should be winning that game. Spurs are going into it not in form. And, you know, there was a lot of pressure under Tudor. They had lots of players missing. And Liverpool drew that game, and there was, you know, a few boos at the end of it. So
this is the response.
This is
that
exactly
Arne Slot would have wanted to see,
yeah,
and the fans as well.
Of course, and the fans from the word go were really behind them. And at the end, you know, "You'll Never Walk Alone" was round the stadium, and the atmosphere was outstanding. And that was because they played with a different tempo, a different intensity. That's been something I think that, you know, Liverpool fans have been a little bit critical of when they've watched them play under Arne Slot, where they've been quite controlled and composed, but you wanted to see a little bit more moving the ball quickly, a little bit more intensity. We saw that tonight from the off. It was very much, it wasn't just pass. It was when they could go forward, they went forward. And the interchange of positions, you know, Mo Salah, Ekitike, Szoboszlai and Wirtz, the way that they moved it was so difficult to defend against. And yeah, you got the full-backs joining in and getting deliveries into the box. So, like I say, individually, but also collectively as a team, they were excellent from start to finish.
And they're into the quarterfinals.
Absolutely. And I think Liverpool fans now will be thinking, we want to see this consistently. We want to see this in the Premier League. We've seen it in patches. But if they can take that sort of form into the Premier League, some people will say, well, you know, Galatasaray didn't perform well on the night. But I still think a Liverpool that perform like that, move the ball so quickly like that, they're unplayable, and they were unplayable tonight.
And they will need to be unplayable. PSG up next in the last 8. Hotspur have finally won a game under Igor Tudor, but it wasn't enough to overturn that first leg deficit against Atletico Madrid, and they are out of the Champions League. It's a crazy game in North London. Spurs went ahead through Kolo Muani, but soon after the break, Julian Alvarez levelled it up. Xavi Simons got Spurs in front once more, but then once again, Atleti pulled it back. Only for Simons to make it 3-2 right at the end from the penalty spot. The Spanish team had done enough in the first leg, and now Spurs must concentrate on trying to stay in the Premier League.
Hugely positive, and I think that was the question when you went into it. When I sat here just before kick-off, mate, you said, what can they get out? I said, they've got to start the game well, they've got to try and score the first goal. They did all that. They've got plenty of belief, and I think something that's got to come out of this game tonight, belief, momentum, desire, and I think collectively now they have to just keep talking about, we've got good enough players. We've got Bergvall back, he's come back from injury. Conor Gallagher was out ill at the weekend. 2 suspensions, Igor Tudor winning the game all on the night. That's all you could ask for. Take care of what they could affect, and I was trying to win tonight. It wasn't good enough to go through to the next round, but positive night, and they can look forward to Sunday now.
Hi Michael, can I just, before we get into it, can we start with some team news or updates at least? Matthias, how's his rehab going?
Similar really. Frustrating for Matt. I think it's he's obviously working towards getting back, but just the back issue really that's proven difficult. So we'll keep working as hard as we can with everyone to get him back as quick as we can.
Similar for Lissandro?
Yeah, he's closer, a lot closer. He's getting there. So after this one, I think he'll be all right.
Patrick Dorgu, I guess it's the same.
Yeah, he's a bit further down the line.
I'm told there was no Mazraoui in training. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's just ill. Just wasn't feeling too good today.
Should be okay for Friday. Yeah. And Mason was back on the bench, didn't come on. Do you expect it? Is he closer to being possibly up for starting, or is he already up for starting fitness-wise?
Starting would be too much, I think, at this point for just for the training time and the kind of exposure that he's had really, but it's brilliant to have him back. He's a fantastic player, Mason, and great to have around the group again. So we're delighted to have him back, and obviously the break coming up now gives him a chance to get even more up to speed. So in some ways that's come at a good time for him.
I think that's pretty much everyone. So can I ask you about Bournemouth this Friday night? They seem to be the draw specialists at the moment, don't they? What are you expecting from them on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough game. It's a tough place to go. They're on a really good run of form. So, yeah, difficult game. You know, we're obviously going down there. We've had a good run, and the boys are in good shape. But yeah, always a difficult game. Always has been, and probably always will be. So we know that. You know, they're a really good team, well coached, and really well coached, and good energy. And so we know we'll be in for a game down there on Friday.
Thank you.
Afternoon, Michael. I know we've asked you a lot about Kobbie Mainoo since you've arrived, but I just wonder, since you have been back at the club, what have you made of his actual performances, and especially in recent weeks, and what areas do you see him still as a young player that he can improve on as a midfielder?
Of course, he can always improve and on a lot of things. There's just the age he's at, just for starters. You know, there's so much more to come and develop, and then that's just natural. That's not a negative on Kobbie by any stretch. That's just the stage he's at in his career. So hopefully he has got a lot of layers to improve and keep development on that. I think he's done really well. I think. You know, not having a lot of football for a period of time to come in and play a run of games and find your rhythm. I think he did that really quickly, and there's a natural kind of a flow really, and I thought he was really good again on the weekend and putting in a performance where he did a little bit of everything really, and controlled the game in spells, defended when he had to defend, and really impressive with him.
I know we asked you about Harry Maguire last week, and you said you hoped he could get called up for England. With the announcement on Friday, I just wondered about Kobbie and also Luke Shaw. Do you hope they can get themselves back into the England picture come Friday? And have you been in touch with Thomas Tuchel at all as well?
No, I haven't been in touch. No. Yeah, listen, for the boys, I'd love to see them picked and pick for this one, and obviously pick for the summer. And I don't have any influence on that, but certainly the boys, the way they're playing, I think they've put themselves right in the conversation and right in the picture and given themselves a chance. You know, so we'll see. I literally don't know any more than you on that one, but the boys they've definitely playing well enough to warrant a place for sure. It's not my decision, so we'll have to wait and see.
Michael, I realise this predates you, but the team's won 2 out of 7 away games, and obviously lost at Newcastle last time late goal, but then you got a late goal to get an equaliser at West Ham. Is the away form going to be the key to getting into this Champions League, because you seem to have sorted it at home?
It's just form and results, whether it's home and away. It's not something we kind of look at too much. I think it's the next game really, and yeah, of course we've had some good results at home. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's fixed and we can move on to something else. You know, it's always the next game. And it's been nice to be able to win at home and put that in place, you know, and go and play at Old Trafford with a real feeling of confidence and looking forward to the game, and for the supporters to feel that as well and leaving with a good feeling. So there's certainly an element of that, but we're not kind of going as a major difference in preparation or mindset or anything. I think it's the next game. Well, as I just said, I think we know it's a tough place to go anyway. It always has been, but we're not really separating one game to the next. It's just one game at a time.
I know I've kind of asked about this before, but some of your kind of like Liverpool or Chelsea are playing like loads of games over this next period after Friday, then you don't play until kind of 3 weeks on the Monday. How does that work in terms of what the players who are not away on internationals do when they come back, what they're going to do? Because it just feels, it's almost like a pre-season in a way.
Yeah, there's no getting away from it. I think the next couple of weeks is real mix for the group. We're not sure, obviously, talking about the England boys there, and not sure exactly what kind of numbers we'll have, but we probably won't have many here. I think most of them will be away, so that means they'll be training and playing games for the most part. So there's definitely that element, and it ends up becoming managing each individual for what they need. Some boys who play games maybe need a little bit of a kind of maintaining and the level that they're at. Some boys maybe haven't played games, need a bit more training. Mason coming back, so there's there's different. We got to be really flexible, to come out the back of it in good shape, and the boys will have a break in some way, but we're definitely mindful of it for sure, and it's a little bit unique in some ways, having the kind of the week after the internationals to kind of prepare for the next game. Normally it's a rush to get everyone back as quick as possible and get on with things quickly, but we've got a little bit more time this time.
Michael, there's been a lot. Well, we spoke to you about Bruno Fernandes after the game the other day, but there's been a lot of discussion since about his performances, his form. I know you were kind of asked about it the other day, but do you think he is? If you were a player and able to vote, would he get your vote for Player of the Year?
I think he's had a fantastic season. I have to say. It's not so much who I would vote for, but we're delighted that he's playing the way he is and having the impact that he is for us, and he's proven to be right up there in end conversations. I'd love to see him obviously take the award, and it says a lot about what's going on at this club and how the team's playing, as well as how well Bruno's playing. So we'll have to see how that pans out, but really, really pleased with everything that he's doing at the moment.
Kind of following on from that, the fact that we're talking about him, a successful team, and it does feel unusually quiet and calm around here. Is this what it was like during your playing days when you were successful under Sir Alex? Is that kind of mood behind the scenes that was when you were here?
I think it just depends how what kind of phase you're going through and what it feels like, really, the momentum. And sometimes it needs to be calm and a bit stable. Other times it needs to be a little bit on edge and a little bit touchy, and sometimes that brings out the best of you as well. But it's largely been calm in some ways, but actually not calm in the emotion of it, in the feeling of wanting to improve, and the boys, the way they train and obviously the way they've played. You can't be too calm all the time, but I think trying to be measured and calculated, so making good decisions for me and the staff, and obviously for the players as well. I think it's getting that balance right.
Arsenal's internal shake-up continues, and the latest departure signals that the restructuring behind the scenes is far from over. James Ellis has stepped down from his role as technical director just 7 months after being promoted. According to BBC Sport, Ellis, who only took on the position last August after serving as head of recruitment, has now left the club amid what appears to be a wider internal overhaul. His exit doesn't come in isolation. In December, Arsenal appointed former Napoli executive Maurizio Micheli to a senior recruitment role, a move widely seen as part of the club's long-term structural reset. Just months earlier, Andrea Berta had been confirmed as sporting director, effectively replacing Edu Gaspar. That appointment alone signaled a new era. Now, with Ellis gone, the transformation feels even more deliberate. Ellis joins Edu and former CEO Vini Venkatesham among high-profile departures from the Emirates hierarchy. Both Edu and Venkatesham moved on to new roles. Edu taking on a global director of football position at Nottingham Forest, and Venkatesham joining Tottenham. However, neither situation appears entirely stable. Edu's time at the City Ground has reportedly been turbulent. Nottingham Forest's dramatic drop in form since his arrival has raised serious questions about the project's direction, and indications suggest his tenure there may not last much longer. Meanwhile, at Tottenham, Venkatesham has come under intense scrutiny from Spurs supporters, particularly for his initial backing and continued support of Thomas Frank, even as results and performances deteriorated from December onward. Eventually, Igor Tudor was appointed interim manager, and his first match in charge came in the most demanding fixture possible, the North London derby against Arsenal. Despite having just 7 days in the job, the 47-year-old Tudor understands the magnitude of the occasion and the adversity he's facing. "We trained with 13 players," Tudor admitted. "That's the reality. It's not ideal, but in moments like this, the challenge becomes even greater. And so does the opportunity to succeed." He added confidently, "We will have 13 players ready, and that's more than enough to achieve what we want on Sunday. I understand the importance of this match. It's a North London derby. Everyone expects 3 points from us. We are aware of that." Arsenal, however, arrive at the derby carrying frustration of their own. Consecutive draws against Wolves and Brentford have slowed their momentum, and Mikel Arteta made it clear there could not be a better fixture to respond. "It's the next game, and it's the one we're most excited to play," Arteta said. "If we could play today, we would. We have to use that feeling in our stomach the right way, and show it on Sunday." There are also selection decisions looming. Despite Eberechi scoring 3 times in the reverse fixture, his place in midfield is no longer guaranteed. Competition has intensified, particularly after positive fitness updates on Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard, both capable of operating in similar roles. We'll have to wait until tomorrow, Arteta said cautiously. But there's a strong possibility that both of them will be available. With tension rising both on and off the pitch, this derby feels bigger than usual. Arsenal are reshaping their leadership structure. Tottenham are battling instability, and both clubs are searching for momentum at a crucial stage of the season. Sunday won't just be about 3 points. It's about direction, identity, and control in North London. The broader picture, however, stretches beyond one derby or one boardroom exit. What is unfolding at Arsenal is a defining phase, a moment where structural decisions off the pitch could shape the club's competitiveness for years to come. The departure of James Ellis raises natural questions about continuity and recruitment strategy. Arsenal have invested heavily in building a data-driven, modern scouting network over the past few seasons. Under Mikel Arteta's leadership, recruitment has largely aligned with a clear footballing identity: younger profiles, tactical intelligence, technical security, and long-term resale value. Now, with Maurizio Micheli and Andrea Berta positioned as key figures, the club appears to be centralizing authority even further. For supporters, the concern isn't necessarily change. It's instability. Frequent turnover at executive level can create uncertainty during crucial transfer windows. With the summer approaching and expectations growing after consecutive near-title pushes, Arsenal cannot afford missteps in squad planning. Rivals are strengthening. Margins are thin. Every decision matters. On the pitch, the North London derby carries added psychological weight. Arsenal's recent draws against Wolves and Brentford weren't just dropped points. They dented momentum at a critical juncture of the season. Title races are often defined by response, how quickly a team reacts after disappointment. Arteta understands that narrative. Privately, there is belief within the squad that performances have not dipped as sharply as results suggest. Arsenal have maintained strong possession metrics, defensive structure, and chance creation numbers in recent matches. The issue has been efficiency, converting control into decisive moments. Against Tottenham, that margin for waste disappears. For Spurs, the situation feels even more volatile. Igor Tudor's interim appointment reflects urgency rather than long-term planning. Training sessions with limited numbers underline the squad's injury struggles, and depth will be tested against one of the league's most organized sides. Yet derby matches rarely follow logic. Emotional intensity often overrides tactical predictability. Another layer to the story is the competitive landscape at the top of the table. With Manchester City and Liverpool maintaining relentless standards, any slip can reshape the standings instantly. Arsenal know that draws at this stage can feel as damaging as defeats. The pressure is no longer about proving progress. It's about delivering silverware. Internally, Arteta's message has reportedly been direct. Block out external noise. The boardroom reshuffle, media speculation, and scrutiny around player selection cannot bleed into matchday focus. Leadership inside the dressing room, particularly from senior figures, becomes crucial in moments like this. There is also anticipation around the possible return of Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard. Their availability would not only boost tactical flexibility, but also restore leadership and composure in key phases of play. If both are fit, Arteta faces a selection dilemma, but one he would welcome. In North London, perception shifts quickly. One result can calm doubts or intensify them. A victory would reassert Arsenal's authority, silence questions about momentum, and reinforce belief in the current project despite executive turnover. A setback, however, would amplify concerns about consistency at the worst possible time. Ultimately, this is a convergence of narratives: structural change, title ambition, squad depth challenges, and historic rivalry. The derby will not define the entire season, but it will send a message. And right now, both clubs are desperate to control that message.